Absolutely. How did I know the UN eventually found out about what was going on? Can you share with me when you were little? We heard stories that you would be one of the ones that would come into the prison and kind of get the information. Because remember, at the time, international media, there were no political prisoners. There was no one. These jails were not full of people, but yet children like you, like, I don't want to say your part, but children like you were able to gather information. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, remember in that time, Castro denied political prisoners exist. Your own people does not know. Even your family, you could not say it because what happened is you could lose your job at school. You will be expelled because your parents, your father or your uncle is a political prisoner. It's not political prisoner, it's enemy. And then what happened is a lot of killings, a lot of things, what tortures happening in the jail. And political prisoners write small characters in writing, and the paper was like a onion paper, onion skin, very thin paper, and they write in small characters. And they write one side, and the other side they wrote the opposite side. It's like if you go like this, then you cannot read. But if you write like this, and the other side you write like that, you can use both sides. And it was allowed for the parent family to take crackers, and the crackers have the nylon bag. That nylon they cut it and fold. First of all, the paper they folded like look like similar to a cigarette, and they folded with the nylon and with the matches. You go around, you weld it. It looked like against impermeable like water. And those little paper was called bullets, balitas, because it looked like a bullet. And they have in there they have all their names, who was in war cell, who was killed, who was in hunger strike, all the people who was fighting in the mountains, who was in jail, who was killed. And those information they had it in those bullets. And in 19, I don't remember the year, I was 12 years old. Something happened, and I became the messenger from the Plantados, and I started taking out the jail, smuggling the letters, the bullets. I put it in my mouth, under the scrotals, my testicle, on the back of my knee. I have an opening in here, and I put it. And since 12 years old until 19 years old, I was the messenger from the commander Uber Matos. The only messenger that the commander Uber Matos had was me. It was a secret thing. I took all the information that later on gathered to his book, Armando Valladares, part of his book. More than 6 or 7 books is already in the market because I took all those letters, bullets in those years, and I sent it to the family, to the person I supposed to. Matos was sending to the family in Costa Rica, and a newspaper here in Diario Las Americas. I was selling for 3 years letters.
Now,
also,
just Mato was considered one of the premier generals for Fidel. Was considered what a lot of people respected him more than Fidel. Was a threat to Fidel later on. It looks as the years go on, and he gets sent to prison. Correct?
20 years.
20 years. And why did he get sent to prison again?
It was a letter that he wrote to Castro.
The letter, that's right.
It was in 1950. Took power in 1959. And Hugo Matos was the director of Camagüey, one of the biggest provinces. And I mean, year after months, January was the revolution. In October or November, something like that, October, Hugo Matos do the letter. And the letter mentioned to Castro he would prefer not to be with him in the revolution. He wanted to be, again, a teacher that he was. And mentioned about the communist thing. They were talking about communists already, that Castro denied. It's a lot of things that he was very, I have to be, I got a guts to write to Castro, something like you can see the type of persons. He didn't want to be in power. See? Right. Being the 4th or the 5th guy in the whole country, and you would prefer to be a teacher. See, most people in that situation will keep on with Castro. Whatever he does, I will follow him. But when you have honor, you don't do that. You do what he did. And because of that, he was condemned to 20 years that he was until 1979. That was when he was released. I went to Costa Rica. We went to Costa Rica with him. 138 prisoners.
So now he's in jail with your dad, and then you together are now the prisoners are writing messages of what's going on in jail, and through a collaboration, you're able to organize and get the data, the information of what's really going on in prison that gives the world eventually the information that there are political prisoners in Cuba, that there is information being creative. Los Cubanos, I think, are always the most creative, one of the most creative individuals, using paper wraps of cookies and crackers and being able to write and tell the story, I think is amazing. What did your heart pound when you're putting in this information, or did you not know as a 12-year-old what can happen? Or
I could say at the beginning, I have a lot of interviews with prisoners that's remembering that time, and I mentioned this. And one occasion, one prisoner was telling that I was like a nervous, when I was 12 years old, and because the guards are with bayonets. Yeah? Women's this eye, men this eye. Remove your clothes on, and they will search for anything, any part you believe. They will search because no one cannot take information.
So they were searching the men
and
the women
separated, but they will search. But the kids never occurred to them. I was one of the kids. Wow. The only thing is they taught me like you have to look into their eyes and keep on straight. No, never look back. It's something in your hand is cold. Just put it in your pocket. Don't start moving it. Don't go back. Just keep on and say hi. And what they did.
And who would tell you? Mato or
my father were Matos, and it's a group of them. Maybe no more than 10 or 12 prisoners knew that I was doing that. Most of them are here alive. They have they did a testimonial thing telling that. I had never wanted to say that, but this year happened because in Spain they went to do the commercial for the movie Plantados.
Yes.
And one of the communists asked there, "Oh, if there's no information in Cuba, how does information come out? Well, who knows?" And they had to say, "Well, because the family took letters, but one guy, a kid, and they were Matos' son, Rogelio Matos, say it in an interview, say, my father has, since he was 12 years old, is a special messenger, a secret messenger who took all the letters to us since he was 12 years old until 19 years old. He was my father's messenger. Nobody knew. And that's how the world knew. It's like I was the newspaper and the TV and the all the information that was not allowed. At the beginning, let me tell you, at the beginning, maybe I did not know nothing. I just was taking a letter to my dad that somebody would pick it up later in my house. And it will be always a guy that I knew in jail when visiting my dad. Somebody I know, my father met, somebody will say, he's going to go to the house. And then I remember him, I give the letters to him. Later on, I became myself. Then maybe 13, 14, I was the one who was supposed to go to different places and hiding or different things I want to say. But it was time that, I was shaking, honestly. My legs, one time I remember I could not hold it together. It is something I had to go against a concrete table and push it back. Because you see, the guards are there with the machine guns looking at you, and they're looking at you, and in all 2-3 lines looking at you, and tough guys. And I did read a lot of letters because some letter was not the one I put it in here. It was open. Some I read, and I had to open and put in envelopes. I had to send it to 2 embassies and to 3 different places to send it from Cuba, and I had to read it. I learned history, talking to my dad, talking to Gubermato, talking to Chanes de Arma, talking to a lot of commanders that was there with maybe they have like a 5 or 6 Castro commander in the same jail, and maybe more than 20 captain or like my father in the same jail. People who was very close with Castro, very, 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 very. And I learned history with those persons. I like to know what's going on in my country. I was a little kid, but I learned a lot. And I feel very proud myself later on. But at the time, honestly, it's like maybe when I was 16 and to 19, yes, I was like I wanted to do something that I was so proud to do it. It's like my father has their job to be in there, and I have mine outside.
Right.
And it's a compromise that the world have to know what is going on with my dad and his friends. It is something that you talk to them, and you admire them, and those are your heroes. Like when you read a book, those are your heroes in your history, in your country. Those was my heroes, the people who fought for my country, the people who was there living their life.
Yeah. They lost it all. And what's fascinating is then I think maybe that's why the story doesn't get told as much is that these were people that were primarily at the beginning. They believed in what Fidel was saying. They believed they were convinced. They got faked like everyone else, but they thought the idealism. They were Fidel Castro, people that were supporters, and then later on, they realized, whoa, this is not what was promised. And instead of leaving, they decided to stay on and be so defiant. And I got to say, they could have easily just said, hey, let's rehabilitate. I'm out of here. I'm going to Miami. I'm going to the United States.
DC.
I'm going to a different country. And they didn't.